But, well, if you say the truth, when Saddam, what's his name, the Libyan fellow fell, all across West Africa, Kalashnikovs, assault rifles could be bought for you could buy them for two loaves of bread. So what I think we need to really do to, again, agree with the doctor, is that in the radicalization process, we need to enlighten people a lot more. There are about 5 stages. Once you allow a person to be radicalized to stage 3, it's practically irreversible. So what we need to let people understand is that, look, what these people are after is very simple. If you understand what they call TMI, transmarginal inhibition, there's an amount of stress you put on any human being, the person will collapse. That's why you can confess to crimes you did not commit when the torture reaches a point. Now, literally, that is what is happening to Nigeria. We are being divided into portions, and then pressure is being applied to break the spirit of Nigeria. Government can never do this alone. This is a time, like I said, when religious leadership needs to make it clear to all that, listen, we are in a war. This war is not targeted only at Christians, it's not targeted only at Muslims, it's targeted at the Nigerian nation. These people are determined, they are patient, they are lethal, and they are after something which is total governance of the nation. If we're going to make it, we need to let everybody know this is not a 100-meter dash, this is a marathon. So therefore, everybody get ready. We may not all make it.
Okay, but let me just add this so that you can tie it up.
Yeah.
See, someone says Nigeria does not have historical and philosophical agenda on critical security for its citizens that will value human life, because lack of food alone is a security threat. So let's look at food security and as a tool in the hands of the enemy to break the Nigerian spirit and all of that.
Look, there's nobody like the African when it comes to dignity in suffering. Don't let anybody, I mean, we have a lot of the Western world bringing a lot of these theories from all over the whole place. In Africa, we'll have learned how to share. Africa is the only place where normally, I mean, your relatives and everybody has to be partakers. Yes. Now, what we need to do is this. We need to have enough gumption to defend those institutes in our land that help us to be like that. Yes. Let me give you a good example of one of the answers to the Boko Haram that the world can profit from, but the pettiness of politics will never allow us to look into. In the Southwest, the Omoluabi ethos, for more than 1,400 years, has succeeded in conflict management and conflict resolution to minimize and bring to practically zero religious wars. You're going to find out that in the Southwest, people are more difficult to radicalize. And if you trace it clinically and put it on a digital platform, you're going to find out that it's just because there's a matrix that trains people. Now, what should we do as a country? Instead of looking and saying, oh, it's Yoruba, or it's Igbo, it's Efik. No. This thing has proven itself for 1,400 years out of the pantheon of about 500 and something gods. There has never been one religious conflict. And when you distill the information, it's actually the Omoluabi ethos. Now, what is it really? You look at it, it's just an injection given into everybody, a training which can be put into the curriculum of education. If you will do that, you will find out that what the Yorubas did was that they separated the issue of worship from demonic activities. So if somebody says to you, let us go and pray in the mosque or the church, you say, let us go. Somebody says to worship God, let us go and cut somebody's neck. You say, wait a minute. Ishe issue and Esin are two different things. For us to go and kill somebody, Ishe issue lelego. So you find out
that's the work of the devil.
That's the work of the devil.
And then Ishe Esin, that's
worship.
Worship.
This is what the world, listen to me, because the Western world has made its defense line on materialism and relativism, it has a problem accepting that there is a spiritual world. In the African realm, we know spiritual influences, which is what is behind this satanic thing we are calling Boko Haram. So remove it from religion, separate it from religion, allow the world to know that the reason why a Yoruba imam is not going to join you to blow up anybody is because he knows there's a difference between worship and satanic works. Now, when you inject that into the curriculum and you broaden its application, it's part of the 360-degree panacea cure to what we're discussing here.
Okay, now let's look at the role of security operatives in this issue of the firearms, for instance, you know, they have to like take their games a notch higher. But are they also well motivated to be able to carry out these duties?
Well, I think motivation, you have intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. Extrinsic motivation, I would say all security officers everywhere are poorly paid and work too long hours and so on and so forth. Now, intrinsic motivation, do they have love for the nation? Do they have love for their job? Do they care enough for their families? What about the work environment? Do they have the tools to do their job? I would say it's up to every individual security officer out there. So you have to take the issue of motivation. I think the greatest thing is indoctrination. If our security officers will say, you know what, this is my country, this is my nation, I want to die for it, I want to do my work. So somebody comes along and says, here goes this. I think there was something I was reading recently where they said somebody was offered money to look away the 660 rifles that were interdicted recently. A custom officer was actually offered cash, and he said no. He said, for my country, I no agree. And, you know, he rejected the money. I mean, so this also puts a light to a lot of the myths. People think that all custom officials are corrupt. And this guy showed that he was above corruption because he believed in what he was doing. So I think that is to borrow from Pastor Ladi, the injection. We need to give some of this book.
But was that guy also encouraged to stand his ground in case there's a next time?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You know, in terms of, you know, again, like I said, that is extrinsic back again. Because what are his bosses doing? You know, what is the nation doing to reward him for standing his ground?
To encourage others.
To encourage others. So, you know, those are the things. Again, I must go back to my point on critical thinking again. We must start thinking in more robust, more muscular fashion in order to get solutions to our problems. Because this lazy, indolent, and, you know, thinking that pervades the policy space is totally unacceptable.
In 10 seconds each, let's tie it up this way. The reward and punishment system, how can that help us sort this out in 10 seconds each?
The reward and punishment system in Nigeria is not adequate to sort this out. What I believe can sort this out right now is the fact that Africans by nature are religious people. So we must build a synergy between the religious platforms and the governance platforms. And from the religious community, let me tell you this in closing. We believe that the best future is not a function of the past. It's not a function of your experience. That's why we say eyes have never seen, ears have never heard, it has never entered the heart of man. What those who believe in God will receive that he has prepared for them. Now, what are we saying? The best future for our nation will be found in inspiration. So let us begin to have thinkers in leadership, in political leadership, thinkers in church leadership, religious leadership, mosque leadership, governance, traditional, who know that we can create a new future for the Nigerian citizen where his life will have such great value that obviously people would want to come from all over the world to be a part of what we're doing.
Okay, Dr. Komo, quickly.
Impunity is the name of the game in Nigeria. You do something, you get away with it. Every bad guy wants to get away with his crime. So you must go back to Beckerian sociology, celerity, severity, and ensure that everybody gets his just desert. Because a situation where security services are fighting in the streets and they're blocking each other, and and then when you look at it, you think of it, you say, well, you could impute all kinds of motives. I mean, that is not the best for this country. So let's go back to Beckerian sociology and then do the right thing in this country, because impunity is just the name of the game and it's unfortunate.
Okay, we'll just quickly take a break and...
we'll send them out.
Okay, okay. I was just so enjoying this conversation. Okay, thank you so much for coming on this morning. We've been speaking with security experts. Mr. Ladi Thompson, thank you for coming.
Pleasure,
and Dr. Ona Ekomo.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you. We'll go on a break, and when we come back, we'll be talking more about gender
Issues.
issues.
Don't go away.